Welcome to Geek on Film with your host, Robbie Holmes. Hey there, folks. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of Geek on Film. I'm Robbie Holmes, and I'm your host, and this week we'll be talking about a couple of shorts, a couple of films, and a main review of Nosferatu, Robert Eggers' take on the 1922 movie Nosferatu. I'm excited to be back. I expect there to be a lot more podcasts. I've already queued up and done scripts for, I think, about 6 episodes. I have a lot of films I've been watching since Middleburg. Lots have been going on in my life, as I mentioned the last time. So I expect that these will be coming out fast and furious for a little while, trying to catch up before the Oscars. So let's jump into it. This week, we will start with a couple of shorts in the Oscar-nominated shorts short list. For me, the first one was A Swim Lesson. So A Swim Lesson is an ode to an everyday hero named Bill Marsh, a swim teacher who helps children manage their fears and discover their own power, submerged in an overwhelming unknown. It's directed by Rashida Jones and Will McCormick, and the star of it is William Marsh. This documentary made me so happy. It is watching children who are basically told they are going to learn to swim, and sort of a person who impartially, who cares a lot, but impartially to the children, gets them back in the pool over and over and over again. As someone who grew up swimming and was in the pool from the time I was a child, and I never really had any fear of it that I am aware of. I'm sure I did before I can remember. I felt so elated to watch these children overcome this fear. Swimming is so important and is such it's a lifesaver for one, but two, I have so many fond memories at beaches and pools and in the ocean, and it's just so much fun. And to watch these children get an entire world opened up for them made me very excited. My review over on Letterboxd was 4 stars, and I smiled and laughed and felt all the success as though it was me that was teaching. It was triumphant and sweet. I really love this. I couldn't have been happier watching this. My wife was a little uncomfortable. She doesn't love to swim, and I could see her inherent fear coming through a little. I loved it. I think it's, I would love to see it go further. I just don't think it has a huge story to tell. It was a really feel concerned, feel good short for me this year. But I really liked it a lot. Next, we'll move on to a short that was similar, but not the same, that crushed me. So Instruments of a Beating Heart. This is a short that takes us into the world of first graders in a Tokyo public school, and they are presented with a challenge for the final semester of performing Ode to Joy at the ceremony for the new incoming first graders. Ayame, who often struggles to keep up with the group, is determined to play a major part, the big drum. So I had listened to a little bit about this documentary, a little behind the scenes. It sounds like they got an unbelievable amount of access to this school. And over time, the story sort of unfolded around this little girl. So I gave it 3 stars. I eventually gave it a heart because of where it ends up. But my review over on Letterboxd was, it's rough, and I don't want to see kids specifically called out and targeted while amongst their peers. Learning shouldn't be fear-based. I found it too triggering for me and my experiences in elementary school. My childhood gym teacher was my father's friend, and I felt often like I was in the crosshairs because he knew me personally, and it meant that I was often put on the spot to do things. And as a chubby kid who was very athletic, there were certain things I just couldn't do. The example I would give is the rope climb was impossible for me at that size. And even today, I probably wouldn't be able to climb out of a pit with a rope. But it was rough. And watching this little girl be very much called out and called to task for not giving her all or not being the person she could be for everyone else just really tugged at my heartstrings. I found it really moving. I would say it also is not a film I expect to move forward with the Oscars final list, because I think it's a little light in the story that it's trying to tell. I enjoyed it. I'm glad, as you'll see, and I will probably talk about a lot. I'm a huge fan of shorts, short documentaries, short films, and animated shorts, and so much so that I mentioned it in the last episode. I purchased my tickets to Virtual Sundance. I also was able to this year grab just the shorts package, so I should be able to watch the majority of the shorts that are going to be at Sundance this year, which makes me really happy. Um, so for me, I would say shorts are this really great way to get across a short concept. It's a great way for somebody to, show you a path to what they think a real film, a full length feature film could be. And it's also a really good way for up and coming directors to get a chance to direct something and prove themselves with a camera and with a budget. And so I love shorts. I'm a huge fan. We'll jump over to the original 1922 Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror. This was written by Bram Stoker and Henrik Galeen, even though I believe they did not have the rights to it. So Bram Stoker maybe added post the actual release of the film. And the director for this was F.W. Murnau. The story here is vampire Count Orlok expresses interest in a new residence and real estate agent, Hunter's wife. This is an adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. The characters are not named the same as the book because I believe there's a rights issue. But we should think really deeply about the choices that were being made here because they influenced so many things going forward. Max Schreck plays Graf Orlok, Count Orlok, and he single-handedly changed film and cinema going forward. It's truly amazing the world he creates for this character. It's amazing to me how much of this character is truly influential in almost every other film I've ever seen that includes a monster. I had not seen Nosferatu in years. I probably saw it on, Saturday afternoon on WPIX in New York when I was a kid. So it was probably playing on some, oldies like Turner Classic Movies or something like that. But to sit down and really focus on it and see the choices being made and to see how when Francis Ford Coppola went forward and did Bram Stoker's Dracula, you can see how this film influenced the casting choices and influenced so much else that was going on. This movie, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, was I listened to. We'll get into that in a minute. Let's talk about some of the other folks here. We've got Alexander Granch as Nock. We have Gustav von Wagenheyer, I believe is his name. Wagenheim as Hutter, and then Greta Schroeder as Eileen. These are sort of the titular characters from Bram Stoker's Dracula that we will come to know as these main characters in that world, and it's really astounding to see how the director transposes this diary style storytelling into a narrative story. It's like a true adaptation of what's going on in Bram Stoker's Dracula because so much of that is handled as diary entries or as notes. It's powerful. It's really well done. I mean, I'm not crossing a Rubicon here by saying that it's a good movie, but it was really impressive to sit down and watch it. So for me, I gave it 4.5 stars on this watch, and I said it's truly groundbreaking. It's really I'm really impressed with the ability to pull off complexity of shots with animals and insects and special effects back in 1922. There's so many things being done here. Just the idea of the amount of rats that are being used throughout these scenes and how they feel like they're magically or summoned by Orlok. That's really impressive. And just to think about some of the practicality, like there's a crate at one point where they break into the crate. And I believe the way they made this happen is they filled the crate with rats and then they only opened one spot, the spot that cracked open. So of course the rats would come scampering out. But if you think about like the way it looks magical, even though we're just taking advantage of the creature's innate want to get out of the crate. And I think that's just super clever. Also, like watching Count Orlok carry multiple sarcophagus full of his dirt to the carriage before he goes on the ship to go to Germany is crazy. Like the fact that it looks like he's carrying these crate after crate after crate, and it's done very quickly. It's sped up. It's a clever use of what was at the disposal of the director and the editor, right? I really enjoyed this. I hope everybody gets a chance to go back and watch it. So the first two things I watched were both available through the time. One was available. Sorry, let's make sure I mention this. So the swim lesson is available from the Los Angeles Times through their website. There's a link in the show notes. The Instruments of a Beating Heart is available from the New York Times, and that is also available in the show notes. Nosferatu is available everywhere, like pretty much anywhere movies exist. But it is available free to Canopy and Hoopla. So if you're not subscribed to those services, go take advantage of these amazing resources that are available through most local public libraries in America. Let's move on to a first time watch for me. I will get there eventually because of Alien Romulus. I've been trying to make sure I catch up on all of the Alien films. And I had never seen Alien Covenant. The thing I kept hearing about it was there's a truly nightmare-inducing scene that takes place in this movie. So that was what held me off from it for a really long time. And apparently, I'm getting more comfortable with horror movies. So this film is summarized as a crew of a colony ship bound for a remote planet discover an uncharted paradise with a threat beyond their imagination and must attempt a harrowing escape. This is directed by Ridley Scott. It's written by Dan O'Bannon, Ronald Shusett, and Jack Pagellin. So in this film, we have David being played by Michael Fassbender. Again, he's reprising that role, which is actually a spoiler, I would say. But he's also playing Walter, which is another version of the same cybernetic being or synthetic being. You have Catherine Waterston playing Daniels. You have Billy Crudup playing Orem. You have Danny McBride playing Tennessee. You've got Damien Bachir playing Lope. You've got Carmen Ageo playing Karine. Juicy Smollett playing Rix, and Kali Hernandez playing Upworth. Let's see, we've got a couple other folks in here we'll mention. Amy Semiretz playing Faris, Nathaniel Dean playing Hallett. You've got Alexander England playing Anchor, Benjamin Rigby playing Leeward, and then we're sort of heading off into characters that have less time. I will say, for me, I was surprised by this film. My review over on Letterboxd was, I'm truly impressed. This film is smart, clever, and truly intense. I love the David and Walter scenes. They're really fun, playful, and stylish. I think it is a philosophical horror film that is unique and memorable. I would say what we're seeing here is this, it's almost like in this film, we almost get the idea of the Terminator coming to fruition. What happens if an artificial intelligence realizes that humans are the problem? So in this film, we eventually come upon, spoilers, eventually come upon David, who is left over post Prometheus, doing experiments using the DNA of the creatures, of the xenomorphs, trying to think about ways that they could make stronger, more defensible life. And that humans are a problem. They're just a host. So David needs some incubators for some of his creatures. So he's excited when people arrive. I really loved it. I feel I gave it 3.5 stars. I would say I am in the bag for any of these high concept films, and that Ridley Scott seemed like he was trying to take back his movie from all this populist filmmaking. The distinction of like Alien being a space sci-fi horror film, and then Aliens being a first-person shooter horror game, and Alien 3 being Fincher's sort of messy, not really a final vision I think that anybody involved was excited about. especially the way they talk about it. And then into Prometheus, which I think, the high concept of Prometheus I really loved, and then into Alien Covenant. So yeah, I was really impressed. I so stoked to watch this film and to finally get a chance to just sit back and let it wash over me. Right now, it seems like Alien Covenant is actually off of all the streamers. So I have it listed as a PVoD, premium video on demand, only in the US. I watched this on some streaming service, but I watched it a little bit ago. So you should give it a chance, especially if you're heading towards Alien Romulus. It's fun to see all the incarnations of what Alien is and has become. All right, I'm going to run over to our final and main review this week. It's Nosferatu. So the story, as our friends over at IMDb have told us in the summary, is a gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman and a terrifying vampire infatuated with her, causing untold horror in its wake. So this is written by Robert Eggers, Henrik Galeen, and Bram Stoker, and it is directed by Robert Eggers. So we get a chance to see the unbelievable cast. This is apparently the third incarnation of what this film was going to look like. So we ended up with Lily Rose Depp as Eileen Hutter, Nicholas Hoult as Thomas Hutter, Bill Skarsgård as the Count, Count Orlok, Aaron Taylor Johnson as Frederick Harding, and William Dafoe as Professor Ebhart, Emma Corrin as Anna Harding. We get Ralph Ineson as William Severs. Knock is played by Simon McBurry in a really great short. Like every scene he's a part of is amazing. So for me, this was an astoundingly fun experience. I'm in the bag for Robert Eggers. Seeing him take on the film that made him want to be a film director is unbelievable. I listened to so many interviews with him where he talked about he saw this film at like 9 years old in high school. He wrote a stage version of this as a play. It went so well that a local theater company asked him to come in and run the show for the theater. This is the one and only ground zero for why Robert Eggers wanted to be a director. This was what taught him what he wanted to be. I am truly impressed with this film. I think so many of these frames, people often talk about being able to just any frame of this movie could be a picture mounted on your wall. This is truly that case. There are some breathtaking moments in this movie. I would really try to convince you to see this in the best theater you can if you decide to see it. It's also not as it's pitched as this very like scary gothic horror tale, and I think it's got its moments, but I think the reality here is it's just fascinating. I found myself watching this movie almost as though I was in a lecture about Nosferatu, as about Count Orlok and his obsessions. It is beautiful and complicated, and Lily Rose Depp gives a performance that in almost any other year she would probably be heading towards best, at least in the conversation for best actress. I think Nicholas Hoult has had a screamer of a year, like Juror Number 2, The Order, Nosferatu. I mean, we can talk about Sebastian Stan having 2 big movies. Nicholas Hoult is now 3 this year, and he's great in this. He is so broken, and he's kind of the damsel in distress where Eileen is sort of the spinning top of affection and anger and frustration. She is definitely not in distress and needing support. At least that's how it feels as the movie winds down. You get Bill Skarsgård playing Count Orlok, and he's pretty amazing. But Aaron Taylor Johnson really surprised me. I feel like he got to choose some serious scenery in this movie, and he's really good as a sort of well-to-do shipping magnate whose ship Count Orlok destroys everyone on when he comes over, the Demeter. And also where, the Hutters stay while Thomas is away. So Eileen stays with the family. Emma Corrin as Anna is fantastic. And, Ralph Ineson shows up and is sort of this like staple player in a Robert Eggers movie. And he is this steady hand that connects the dots for them. And then brings in probably the most comic reliefy component of the movie. Knock is connective tissue also, but I think the reality here is William Dafoe as Professor Alvin Eberhardt is unreal. He is you can't help but sort of chuckle and laugh at him as Professor Albin Eberhard von Franz. He is funny. He is serious, but he always adds a little bit of like levity or joviality, or is willing to play in these amazingly dark films with these directors who have singular visions. And he's one of my favorite parts of this movie, because he is again one of the few people that believes what's actually happening to Eileen, and that makes it fun. Like, he is this sort of over the top professor that's been kicked out because nobody believes the things that he believes, which are the occult and things like that, are real. And then he shows up and is just this amazing, couple of scenes where he deals with Eileen and helps her realize that she's not crazy and that he believes her, and then helps her understand what her role needs to be near the end. And then he basically clears the table for her to be able to be in that position by taking the men away to go kill or go on an adventure to think that they're solving the problem. It's really amazing. I think I can't wait for the 4K of this to come out. I do think it's a film I will show people on a regular basis. I think it's a movie that you should see in the best possible environment. And that includes sound. The soundscape for this movie, the cinematography, the editing, it should be nominated across the board on all the below the line categories, even though the Oscars and the Academy often don't pay attention to things that are classified as horror movies. But this one, I hope they pay attention to. That's it for me today on this episode. I'm really excited to jump back into this with the beginning of season 3. And I hope that you will keep an eye out for more podcasts where I'm discussing the current films that are part of the Oscars rundown. So next up for me will probably be Gladiator 2. And you can keep an eye out for that in your feed in the next couple of days. Thank you so much for sticking around. I'm Robbie the Geek everywhere online. This is Geek on Film or Geek on Film.com on your social networks, but we're geekonfilm.com. So feel free to go there to track down all the social media links, all the reviews that I've written. And remember, we're available on Spotify. We're available in all of your podcast catchers of choice. Please rate and review. It would be very helpful to me. I am trying to double down and really, focus on Geek on Film in 2025. You could even say it's one of my New Year's resolutions. I care so much about film, and I want to make sure that I'm more consistent with my appreciation and my discussing of the things that are on my mind. So thank you so much for sticking around. Keep an eye out for that next episode. Gladiator 2 coming soon. And I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. This has been a Geek on Film podcast. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.